Masks, 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 masks. That is the question.
Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune,
or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them.
To die. To sleep.
Masks. What are we supposed to do? Do we wear them? Can you even believe we're having this discussion? Okay, let's be honest. Let's say it is June 2019. You're in an airport. Let's say it's LaGuardia, LAX, DFW, IAH. Does it matter? And there you see, walking towards you, one, maybe two, maybe a little bit more, people wearing masks. 2019. What are you thinking? Exactly. Me too. Why are they wearing masks? Now you have people in the good old USA saying, you better wear a mask. You better wear a mask. I mean, they're adamant about it. Enter COVID-19. According to Joe Biden, 120 million people have died of this.
Unnecessarily, now we have over 120 million dead from COVID.
In the U.S., it's been 128,000. Well, at least that's what they're telling us. That's if you believe those numbers. I have no idea personally. A few months ago, I ran the numbers out of New York, the ones who have been infected and the ones who had passed away. And I used the New York Health Department numbers and I used the Johns Hopkins University numbers. And I'm sure you'll be quite surprised to find out that the numbers never matched. They never matched. Whether it's the day before or the day after or a few hours later, they never matched. They were always several hundred numbers apart. And that's just one city, the city of New York. Who knows about the world? I mean, and I just got tired of looking at the numbers. It's really exhausting. You think you know somebody, you think you know an organization, but when you start comparing their numbers, then you just wonder what's going on. That's exhausting. 504,000 people have actually passed away. I don't know. That's what they tell us. So when it comes to the United States, our numbers are probably more accurate than the rest. Maybe a little bit on the positive side. In other words, more people are identified as having passed away because of COVID than the rest. And that's because, one, our media is very keen on posting those numbers. And two, we're a very litigious society. We really like to make sure that we don't err on the side of a lawsuit. So our numbers are going to be high on the negative side. As far as the world is concerned, the other people outside of the United States, they really want to make sure that their numbers are low because they want to reduce travel restrictions. They want to make sure that people go to their cities and their countries. So their numbers are always going to be lower than the U.S. Oh, and by the way, the U.S. is doing a lot better job in recording all of our cases as well. So again, our numbers are higher. The more people you test, the more people you're going to identify as having COVID. And the higher numbers leads to the argument. Do we wear a mask or don't we wear a mask? It's not a law, but it's an order. It's an order based on an executive order, an executive emergency act. And that gives the leadership certain authority during times of an emergency to take actions that would have required, Congress or their city council to vote on. And because they have this authority, they're using it now, telling us to wear masks. And of course, a lot of this is driven by fear. The numbers are growing. Having people pass away is very sad. Saying that they passed away because of COVID, that's very sad. Having people that were already terminally ill, and when they pass away calling it COVID death, I think that is unethical. But we also have organizations like the W.H.O. and the CDC saying that we need to be wearing masks as well. We need to be wearing masks. Did you know that the WHO, up until June 5th, had been saying that you don't need masks? Yep, that's right. They changed their mind on June 5th. What about our illustrious Dr. Fauci? He has been saying for the longest time that we don't need to use masks.
When you see people and look at the films in China and South Korea, whatever, everybody's wearing a mask. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect.
And then we do need to wear masks.
The recommendation was made, I believe it was Dr. Redfield at the CDC who first said that, about getting some sort of a covering. We don't want to call it a mask because back then we were concerned we would be taking masks away from the healthcare providers. But some sort of mask-like facial covering, I think for the time being, should be a very regular part of how we prevent the spread of infection.
Yep. So the WHO has a document that they published online. It's available. I'll send you a link. That you didn't have to wear masks. In fact, they discouraged it up until June 5th. Remember I told you? Well, on June 5th, they reissued or they republished the document, and it says the steps or what is required to wear a mask. To wear masks. Wear a mask. To wear a mask. To wear a mask. But then you got to read it. And it says something like, not something like, quote, studies of influenza-like illness, and human coronavirus, not including COVID-19, provide evidence that the use of medical masks can prevent the spread of infectious droplets from a symptomatic infected person, but they only mentioned 2 studies. So again, remember, they said not coronavirus, not COVID-19. But we're supposed to wear masks. Interesting. And then they quote 2 reports. And I found a document that lists over 6 reports that show that, or that identify masks as inadequate in reducing any sort of infectious respiratory disease. How you like them apples? Again, I'll send you a link down below. Let me read you a little bit, okay? This is from a doctor by the name of Dennis Ranker. And he writes, there have been extensive randomized controlled trial, RCT, studies and meta-analysis reviews of RCT studies, which all show that masks and respirators do not work to prevent respiratory influenza-like illnesses or respiratory illnesses believed to be transmitted by droplets or aerosol particles. And he mentions a guy named Jacobs. He made a report in 2009 in the National Institute of Health. Cowling in 2010 writes a report. He says that none of the studies reviewed show a benefit from wearing a mask. This is not off the top of my head. This is not President Trump. This is not Fox News. This is doctors' reports. But then again, we have the social media who are telling us, if you don't wear them, you're bad. That's probably the worst thing I see out there. Social shaming. Not based on anything. Based on caring. Based on be nice to everybody else. But it's not based on science. It's just based on, hey, if I have to wear a mask, you better wear a mask too, because I don't want to look like an idiot.
Hey, how are you?
Yo, I'm doing good. Got me fucked up over there at the job talking about we gotta wear a mask. I can't breathe in that shit. I could have hold mine.
So maybe you even said it. I'm sure you've read it on Twitter, on Reddit, on Facebook, on TikTok, on all the other different social media sites. You've probably seen something like, don't be selfish. Don't you care? What about your social responsibility? Tweet me below. Comment below. Tell me if it's true or not. And don't get me started about how stupid all of this really is. I mean, come on. We're supposed to wear masks, but what kind of masks? Surgical masks? N95 masks? Gas masks? Cloth masks? What sort of material are we supposed to use? Cloth? Surgical, I don't know what? Plastic? Neoprene? What kind of quality? Can you make it at home? How about socks? Have you seen those videos on TikTok? The guy uses a sock or a shirt or whatever. Is that good enough? Come on. And how do you wear them? Do you wear them on your chin? Do you wear them on your nose, on the top of your head? No, these orders from the government say you just have to wear them. And these orders from the grocery stores, they just say you have to wear them. How? I don't know. That's up to you, I guess. Did you know that when you finish using a mask, and this is part of the WHO's document on how to wear masks properly that I referenced earlier, you have to steam your masks. So if you have something at home and it happens to be the right kind of material and it happens to be just everything perfect to properly protect you or others, it has to be steamed or boiled. Do you do that? How many people out there do you see put the mask on, take the mask off, put the mask on, take the mask off, keep it in the car? Does it work? Are you using the proper hygiene for your masks? So what's happening is, based on all of this, is a level of frustration in communities. And I'm sure you have a level of frustration as well. You see people constantly telling you what to do, telling you to wear a mask, telling you it's not good to wear a mask. You're seeing this video itself, and it may not be adding to your peace. We are all living in a level of frustration. I mean, we just finished getting out of this self-isolation, quarantine / stay-at-home order from the government. We're just now moving around. We're just now getting out and doing things, trying to get our life back in order. And we have conflicting information all the time. Do we wear a mask? Do we not wear a mask? Are we supposed to be 6 feet apart? Why 6 feet apart? Does the virus live on surfaces for 24 hours or less than 1 hour? All these different things are frustrating. And we feel like there's lies. We feel like when Dr. Fauci says that you don't need a mask, but then you do need a mask. And then the reasons behind it, they're his reasons on why you should wear a mask and not wear a mask. Or what about the WHO, who said up until June 5th you didn't have to wear a mask, and now they say you do, but it doesn't really work for COVID-19. It's just ridiculous. And it is frustrating for all of us. I feel your pain. So what do? Do you just not wear a mask? Well, apparently you can pull down statues. You can freaking burn down a city. But if you don't wear a mask, people will get angry at you. Check out this video.
This is day one. This is opening day of Trader Joe's in North Hollywood. This is Karen. Woo!
Democratic pigs! All of you! That man harassed me for not wearing a...
You know, I'm reminded of a Bible verse in 1 Corinthians 8:9. It says, "Be careful that your freedom does not become a stumbling block for those who are weak." So just because we know we don't have to wear a mask, it might not be the most wise thing to do, as to just take it off and not wear it at all. But you know, the fact that wearing a mask or not wearing a mask is such a big deal tells me that there are bigger forces at play here. This is a battle for your mind and your heart. The thief comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. Don't let him take away your joy. Educate yourself. Compare. Use critical thinking. Don't allow yourself to feel less than just because you're asking questions. Be a critical thinker. And don't believe the ad hominem attacks, the fallacies that most people use, that you're not a doctor, so you don't know. Be thoughtful, be wise, be circumspect, but don't be a sheep. At least that's the way I see it.
I need everybody out there who's wearing a mask to listen to me good. This does not help you hear better. What was that?